I haven't cut it off when people were talking, because what they say is so wonderful. So this time I was really careful. I told her to cut it off after 2 people. Now, I'm so sorry for my mentor not being able to hear all the amazing things you said. It was absolutely fantastic. Okay, so what I would like to do now is every like 4th or 5th person collect the cards and put them in the circle. Eventually what I'll be doing when I do this is passing around a basket where we'll all put the cards in it, but I couldn't find a basket I liked yet, so.
Just put it in the circle?
Yep, just put it in the circle.
Okay.
Okay.
Remember that we're a wheel, and that is the center, that is the
Debbie,
base.
that was too responsible.
We're sharing that. Yeah, she took that out.
No, there's
Just a
some
minute,
responsibility.
just a
Halfway.
I think we have an amazing mentor in our midst. Okay, right now I'd like to talk about what we're gonna talk about next weekend, and I think it was. Next week, sorry. Back to the irresponsible, that's where we get to play. I think it was Linda mentioned the word transition, and that's what we're going to discuss next week, our transitions. And the person who is really famous for talking about transitions is William Bridges. He wrote a book called Transitions in 1976, where he was leaving his career as a professor, and he and his wife were moving into some kind of a community, and he wanted to figure out how to do this big change, and he looked in the library and there were no books. So being a professor, he of course put out a notice that he wanted people to come and discuss this. And this is what the book came from. And he's now republished it numerous times and written numerous books on transition, as have other people now are writing about transition.
What's the guy's name and what's the
William
book?
Bridges, and it's called Transitions. And he's published it many times, so you might want to get one of the newer editions if you pick it up, though it isn't a big difference. So what he says in this book is there are 3 stages to transition, and you're going to get handouts on this, so you don't need to take notes on the transitions. The first stage is letting go. I forgot to say something. First of all, he says that change is change is situational, but transition is psychological. So if you leave your job and you get another job just like it, that's not a transition, that's just a change. In order to actually make a transition, something deeply has to change, like yourself. So, for example, when I was a career counselor, some people would lose their job and just go out and get another job. Other people would take some time to figure out, well, what do I really want to be doing? And maybe I should take a class in this, and maybe I should spend more time with friends, which I haven't done. And so they're really making a much bigger change and changing psychologically through their inner work. So there's the letting go. And a lot of people don't know how to let go. They don't even know that they should. So for example, when I left my high school teaching job, I didn't want to work with teenagers anymore. All I knew I wanted to do was I wanted to work with adults and with a nonprofit. And so it took me quite a bit of time to let go of those teenagers. I'd see jobs and I'd say, oh, that looks like a good job. And I go, oh, Karen, no, that's the old job. So first you have to let go of something. And then there's what's called a neutral zone. And this can be a long time. This is where you're not who you were before, but you don't know who you're going to be yet. And it can be a very uncomfortable but very exciting place to be if you stay there long enough. And that's where you do your inner work. And then finally, after you've figured that out, you start your new beginning. So there's the letting go, the neutral zone, and the new beginning. And some of these, sometimes the neutral zone will be short, sometimes it'll be long. It took me 3 years to get this new job. First I had to figure out what the heck I wanted to do, and then I had to train myself, and then I had to get the job. So you're going to get a handout that talks about this. And then, because I'm only allowed to copy a certain number of pages, I'm going to give you a handout unless I charge you. So they give me a lot of pages, but this is a lot of pages that I give out. So I'm also going to email you, the handout I'm going to give you on transition is a presentation I gave. So then I also made a presentation on one of my transitions, which was from being a teacher to a career counselor. So I'm going to email that to you. I'm also going to email you something else that I'll talk about in a minute. And then next week, we're going to get into small groups and share one of our transitions. And as I say, I'm sharing a career transition with you. It could be a divorce, it could be empty nest, It could be millions and millions of things. So, and I want you to pay attention to what it was you had to let go and what the inner work was that you did for next week. Does anyone have any questions on that? As I say, you're out, we'll get a handout. And please email me or call me anytime. You have my email address from when I emailed you, and I put my phone number in there too. If somebody doesn't have that, let me know. Any questions about what I'd like you to do for next time? Okay, then before I pass out the homework, I will give you homework every week. It'll be handouts where normally it's quotes that I've taken from books. And you can read as much or as little of that as you'd like. I highlight some things, and one woman told me sometimes when she's in a hurry, she just reads the highlights. But I think you'll like these handouts. And please bring them with you to class each time, because we'll spend some time discussing it. So then I'm also going to give you a handout about journaling. I'd like to encourage you to do some journaling in this class. And I'd like to, we don't have too much time to talk about this, but we have a few minutes. Could a couple of you that do journal, how many of you journal, at least off and on? Could a couple of you that do talk about why that's helpful to you, or how you do it, or just share with us? Hopefully somebody else will be trying it that hasn't tried it before.
What I do something called Morning Pages. Julia Cameron proposed that, and she suggests that you write early in the morning, just 3 pages, handwritten, and that's it. So there's no expectation that you address this topic or that topic, and you just fill 3 pages, and I think it's very interesting to see what emerges if you do that every day.
And that would be wonderful too. Morning pages are great, but I'm suggesting that you do some journaling on aging and on the handouts and what you're thinking about. That's great too, and I bet some of that would come up in the morning too.
It
Some
helps to
people
clear
can't-
function in the
Yes.
morning.
So
Yes.
maybe evening pages.
That's
Why
good.
not evening?
I think it helps to clarify my thinking, just to struggle to put it down, or to ramble, or however it comes out, but it just helps me to think about a particular issue in a clear way.
Yes, when I journal, I discover things that I wouldn't discover if I was just thinking. The most amazing one for me was when my son graduated with a degree in economics and then decided he didn't want to be an economist. And he went for quite a long time not knowing what he was going to do. And I was really worried about that. And one day I was doing my morning pages, it turns out, and I suddenly realized that was good. This was before I was a career counselor. That he wasn't just jumping into something. And he ended up becoming an architect, which he loves. So,
Oh my
so
God.
the morning pages helped me with that.
Do any men journal?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes. I have someone in my monthly group that's been journaling since he's young and has tons of journals.
Wow.
I also had a man in one of my classes come in and say, okay, I went out and bought a journal, and I said to myself, okay, Karen says we need to do this, so I'm going to do this. And it's a year later and he's still doing it. So yes, men definitely do
Have you
journal.
seen that bumper
Do
sticker
Charlie
Real
or
Men
Tom
Journal?
journal? I'm guessing that Mark doesn't.
What's the book you meant?
No, I asked him if he hadn't seen that bumper sticker, Real Men Journal.
I'm sure it's out there.
I haven't either.
So, and when you journal, you can do it on your computer, you can do it on scrap paper, you can do it 5 minutes a day, you can do it 5 minutes a week, whatever. But I hope if you haven't done it, some of you will at least try it. And I have someone in my monthly group that was in my class a year ago, and she said just before the monthly group, she went out and bought her first journal, and she's going to start doing it now. So I hope some of you try that, and we will talk about how it went next week.
Is it possible
You're doing it for
to
me.
have some formats just to suggest what people might touch on in their journal?
You mean like questions or something, topics?
Well, I don't know, like, 5 things you're grateful for and 3 things you did today. That kind of a list like
That's
that,
great.
because I can't, look at the blank page and my head will be.
Well, what I would
blank.
suggest that you start with is look at the readings that I've given you and pick
Okay.
something in there that you resonate with and start there. That's what we're gonna do next week. We'll talk about transitions, but I'm also gonna give you some handouts about aging, quotes from people that have written. And I'm gonna we're gonna go around and everybody's gonna say something that we found interesting in there and then say something about it, or several of us will anyway. And that's a good place to start. Just whatever is interesting to you, or that makes you think of something. But what you just said is great too. And you could also do it at the beginning of the day about how your day is going to go, or at the end of the day, looking back on your day. There's millions of things you can do. Okay,
Some of
super.
us need more of a nudge than others.
Okay, so here's your assignment. Pick one quote from the reading that you like and write about that.
That you're giving us to.
You also might wanna write about what is it, did you let go of in your transition, and what was the inner work? That would be another good thing to write about. I love it when people ask for assignments. I had a student when I was teaching high school who saw in a movie where this convict was taught one word a day. I can't remember the situation. He said, would you do that for me? So every day I would put his word up on the board, and people would come and say, what's Ken's word for today? And all the kids would love it. Okay, so I'm gonna pass out the homework and make sure you understand what you've got there. And I'm just gonna pass out one handout at a time, though I have two, because people get confused if I do it too fast. They'll say, what am I supposed to have? Otherwise, I put them around this way, but they get confused.
Charlie, you had today's word, wasn't it?
Entropy.
Entropy.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Charlie, very
Great.
good, very
Yes.
good, thank you.
Yes, that was
Thank
good.
you.
Spend some time.
Oh, that's much better, thank you.
Quicker.
Oh, I might be short of handouts, we'll see. Yeah, but I didn't expect so many people from back.
I'm sorry, I'm not getting this.
I'll explain it.
Thank you.
All from one author?
No, I'll just leave it after. Yeah, she has my email address. She would send me an email, I'll send it back. Oh, that's because you're Beckett. Would the people at Beckett would stay after for a minute, please?
We can photocopy, we'll get copies. We'll just photocopy.
Yeah, because we both have. Well, we gave your emails today, I guess, but I haven't gotten anything previously.
Yeah, no, I didn't know who you were before.
Yeah.
But I understand they have copying a machine here too, because I was told that they could do that.
Yeah.
Is that an extra?
Yes, yep, that's why I just sent them. There's another one coming around. Everybody will get two handouts.
I see your.
Oh, the Ghost Ranch in New Mexico, that sounds fun.
Oh, it's a great place.
You've been there?
Have you been
Yes, yes.
Oh.
I went there for a conscious aging retreat
Mhm.
with one of the gurus, which I'll be telling you about.
Wow.
Ron Kevin.
Have you been to Richard Lodge?
No, no.
We're not becoming a part.
That may be true.
Oh, really? I've seen him in videos.
Mhm.
I think it's just the past.
Yeah.
Wisdom Ways is just, teaching on his latest book. Just got the email today.
I just got their catalog, wasn't in there.
It'd be nice to be talking about that.
Okay, so if you look at the handout that says for reading at home after week one, excerpts from writers who write about conscious aging. The first quote I shared with you already today, and that's from Aging is Saging on page 14, which it says in parentheses afterward. Then the next quote is from Thomas, and you'll find out who that is later, on page 122. And then when there's no parentheses, it's my writing. My mentor told me this is confusing. So the third paragraph, the fourth paragraph, and the fifth paragraph are my work. Yeah, there's a quote within it. I think you'll understand when you read it. So this is, it's all, either I'm explaining something or it's a quote from somewhere. And then the second thing is from the book, it's all from the book,
Transition.
Life Gets Better, The Unexpected Pleasures of Growing Older. So that whole section is from that book. Then 3 subcultures that are shaping how we're seen. They're all from one book. And then The Spirituality of Age, A Seeker's Guide to Growing Older, those are all from one book. So I'd like you to read this handout for reading at home after week one, and pick out something in there that resonates with you that you might like to bring up to discuss next week. then your homework is listed at the end of for reading at home after week 1. So there are 4 pieces to your homework. Reading at home after week 1, reading William Bridges, and then I'll email you, a handout on journaling and one on my transition. And so as I said before, for next class, pick out a transition and think about what you had to let go, what your inner work was, so that you can share with someone about that transition.
You want us to write that, did you say?
No,
No.
you don't have to write anything unless you want to. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm curious as to whether it's on, an ebook or something I can get on my iPad, cause I can't read regular books.
I can email it to you and then you can do that. I have all these on
Do you
computer.
email the whole book?
I can email these handouts to you. Would that work? Then you can put them on your,
Then you'll have
Oh,
it.
no,
make them bigger.
I wanna make sure that the book you're suggesting is available to read on my iPad, because
Oh,
it's
sure.
usually fonted,
You can get it through, get these books through Amazon.
right? Okay,
But I'm
so
not
that-
giving you books, I'm just giving you
These
quotes
are-
from
which
books.
is-
You already know that it's available.
All
in
these books
ebook.
are available.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Anything else? Well, thank you so much, and I hope to see you again next week.
Thank you.
Oh, I forgot, sorry. I'm out of practice. I'd like to end, would everybody stand up, please? And I'd like to end with gratitude. I was gonna blow out the candle and then I remembered. I'd like to go around the circle and everybody say one thing that they're grateful for, and then I will, just a word is fine, or a sentence, and no. Blow out the candle.
Community.
Oh.
Freedom.
Organizations that, set us up to learn.
Life.
Sharon.
New books.
For all these things and many more, we are to
Sounds interesting.
If anybody wants a